What's up, bros? Clearly, and by far the most common question which I recently received from you both on YouTube and through Instagram messages and even during the NBA investment stream, somebody asked about it is well, I happened to be very lucky and pull Alexis Lafreniere Young Guns or Alexis Lafreniere Canvas Young Gun. And what should I do with this card? Should I hold on to it? Should I sell it? Or what? Or another slightly more rare version of this question is that yeah, I bought like 20 upper deck blasters, was unlucky in pulling Alexis Lafreniere, and should I invest into his card right now before it will completely explode? And today we are exactly gonna cover this topic, and what we're gonna be talking about is not gonna be exclusive to particularly his Young Guns cards. It's gonna apply to any commodity card. And what I mean by commodity card, it is just a card which is always available for sale. What we're gonna be talking about, it's not gonna apply to very short printed cards, which like takes a lot of work to even find, because this is like a completely topic of their own, just to just due to such frictions which you might encounter in buying that. And what we're going to talk about is also going to be purely from the investment perspective, that is the desire to make money out of Alexis Lafreniere commodity cards. And in particular, if you're a huge, say, like Alexis Lafreniere card and would like to have it in your collection as soon as possible, the only advice is, of course, like just go and buy them and enjoy this card. Before we will start, I should legally mention that I'm not a certified financial advisor, so I use all of my advice at your own discretion, and I won't be responsible for any outcomes of this. However, to create certain credibility, I should mention that I've been collecting cards for over 25 years without any interruptions, so I've seen a lot of ups and downs, and by my trade I'm a finance professor who has consulted leading financial institutions in the North America and Europe in the area of asset allocation. And the short answer to what should you do with your Alexis Lafreniere Young Guns cards is to sell, sell, and sell right now. And there are actually 5 reasons for that, at least 5 reasons for that. So the first and by far the key reason in all Rocky investments is that despite of the Rocky being hyped or not hyped, most of the Rockies just go down in value after the cards are first released. So the prices just tend to be highest at the moment when the card is released due to the high hype, and after that the card value slowly, or sometimes even not that slowly, but in case of this more hyped players, usually like slowly goes down. And again, upper deck, for example, is now like pushing this Lafreniere collecting like really hard, like representing him like as the next Crosby and so on. and so forth. But yeah, you shouldn't listen to this type of advertisements because clearly Upper Deck is has a lot of interest in promoting Lafreniere, and just as a recent example of such a hype by Upper Deck was pushing Ben Simmons as as the next LeBron James. Didn't exactly pan out, um, now we just have the new shiny hero of the hype. So now the second reason why I don't expect Alexis Lafreniere cards to go up a lot is his playing position as a winger. If you look on this, very few players whose prices didn't go up initially, but started increasing from the beginning. Almost exclusively, these players are centers. So, for example, Crosby or McDavid. And this makes a lot of sense because in hockey, it's the center is literally the only position where you can you have you can really carry a team. Another position where you have a big impact on the team's performance as an individual. A player is a goalie, and that's why a small number of goalies also have been increasing a little bit from their initial prices. Like for example, Carey Price. As a winger or defenseman, it's almost impossible to have a significant impact on the team's performance, and that's why, despite an impressive individual stats, wingers seldom sell well in general, and even more rarely they appreciate in price over there from where they started to sell. So clearly and by far currently the best-selling winger is Alex Ovechkin, and even Ovechkin was very, very expensive during his rookie year. He was essentially on par with Crosby during his rookie year, but while Crosby card prices were increasing, Ovechkin's card prices were steadily decreasing. Decreasing over time. They saw a bump after Caps won a cup, but even then, immediately after Caps won the cup, Ovechkin prices were going up, but they were barely approaching his initial prices during the rookie year, and literally what pushed him to very high valuations was the fact that he started approaching this Gretzky goal record, combined with the recent sports card boom. So again, you would be much better, unlike with Crosby, which you would be better off buying in the beginning. With Ovechkin, you would be much better off financially if when Ovechkin entered the league, you would invest that money into S&P 500. When Ovechkin won the cup, you would buy his cards, and that would be the optimal strategy. So, and this is a perfectly valid development trajectory for a winger. However, what you need to understand is that what literally pushed Ovechkin to such high valuation was him approaching Gretzky's goal record. Is Lafreniere gonna do the same? I highly doubt so. Again, I might be wrong, but I don't think that anybody would argue that this is some kind of a high probability event, and in that respect, just due to his playing position as a winger, I don't see a lot of price appreciation in the near future. A much bigger another big issue about his playing position is that as a winger you are very, very dependent on center. And the problem with Rangers is that they literally have one center in Mika Zibanejad. So, but Mika Zibanejad, he has like very good chemistry and plays very well on the line with Kreider and Buchnevich. So it's not. It's highly unlikely that Lafreniere will ever get a chance on that line because, for example, last year they were trying like Kako on that line. It didn't work, and like a lot of people thought that's because Kako is bad. But that's not the case. The reason is that while Zibanejad is an elite two-way center, it takes him like a lot of time, like literally like over a season to develop a good chemistry with other players. And this wasn't only the case in Rangers; it was the case when he was in Ottawa as well. And because he already had this chemistry, like if they will put Lafreniere on the line with him, it's going to be highly unlikely that they will immediately hit it off. Now, another problem is that, a much bigger problem is that Rangers literally don't have other good centers. Like if you look on the second line, the center is like Ryan Strome, but the problem with Ryan Strome, like on paper, if you look on Elite Prospects or Hockey DB, Ryan Strome kind of has like okay stats, like pretty average stats for a second line center. The problem is, as somebody who saw Ryan Strome like for several years playing for Islanders and in Rangers as well, the reason why like Ryan Strome had good stats in Islanders was that because he was on the first power play unit with Tavares. The reason why he has like a good stats in Rangers is because he plays next to Panarin. As himself, he is a pretty below average average center, and you can see it if you just like watch like Rangers games. Yeah, if he plays with the superstar, yeah, he's gonna like get some points, but yeah, like I think a lot of us, if we play with superstars, like we're also gonna get some points. Like for example, when Ryan Strome was the second center on Oilers, I think he had like something like 4 points in 25 games or so. Like that's the true level of Ryan Strome, and so it's unlikely that a center like Strome will be able to carry wingers. Now, the most likely scenario is that Lafreniere will start on the Rangers third line, and there like things will get like even worse because literally like as a hockey fan who lives 15 blocks from Madison Square Garden, I don't know who is like the third center on Rangers. Like literally, I don't know. I could have checked like some like scrimmage rosters, but I would suspect somebody like Brett Howden. Like well, like I don't know. I've heard that they sign up some like a fourth line like center from Devils last season, like something like Ken Rooney or something like that. I don't ever remember. But the problem is that they're not serviceable centers because Ryan Strome is already like a barely serviceable center, and as a winger, Lafreniere won't have a good center who will build the game for him. So the third reason why I don't expect Lafreniere cards to go up in valuations straight from the beginning is because he is clearly not the main star on the team. And here, McDavid example could be useful because in addition to being a center, McDavid is also clearly and by far the best player on Oilers. And if you watch this Oilers game, there are not even close comparisons to anybody on that team. If you just look on the stats sheet, you could think that Draisaitl is somehow comparable. No, the reason, Draisaitl can position himself well, has a good shot, but the problem, Draisaitl cannot skate. Draisaitl doesn't play D, and so on and so forth. When you watch Oilers games, McDavid really stands out. You think, okay, and McDavid is not a bad player at all, but just this comparison to a bunch of scraps. No, I shouldn't say there's reasonable players. Draisaitl is not a scrap. Played a reasonable player, but clearly has clear deficiencies in his game. But comparison to these players with very clear deficiencies makes McDavid to stand out even more. So on Rangers, Lafreniere is not gonna be the first, neither he gonna be the second star, and because the first two stars are gonna be Zibanejad and Panarin, and Panarin is playing the same position as Lafreniere, so there will be a pretty stark difference between the game for anybody who is watching these games. That Lafreniere is not exactly at the very top level of the game. So and Evan, although I haven't watched the scrimmage games, I suspect that Evan Chris Kreider, who is not really a superstar but a good serviceable above average winger, even him when watching the broadcast, you will see that he might look at least at the beginning like a much better player than Lafreniere. And this is a very important reason why, for example, McDavid is selling for much higher prices than, for example, Austin Matthews. Because once you see these Toronto games, you could think Matthews is doing a lot. He's I think in two season openers he scored something 4 goals or at least 3 goals. But then you see, okay, then there is Tavares, and you see, and people see, okay, Tavares is probably the looks like an upside of Matthews, and people see what Tavares prices, and so they are not exactly ready to pay such a top dollar for Matthews as they are willing to pay for McDavid, who is really Jesus on Oilers. I guess that's why he's called Mac Jesus. Now the fourth reason why I don't expect Lafreniere cards really to take it out from the beginning is the fact that Rangers won't have team success for a very long time, at least for a couple of seasons, and the reason for that is that they absolutely don't have depth at center, as we just discussed, and they don't have any depth at D. So center centers and serviceable defensemen are the two key components for in order for the team to be competing. No, and by competing, I don't mean like for the Stanley Cup, because in terms of competing, the Stanley Cup, Rangers are as far from the Stanley Cup as anybody who is watching this video. But even for competing for the playoffs, because if you think that teams which have like a strong who have strong centers and good defensemen like Islanders, even without the superstars, they're able to at least make playoffs and like to compete for a couple of rounds. In Rangers, this is not going to happen, and because even now, if you look on this division, so in the division they will be playing, the only worst team is literally like New Jersey, and Buffalo is probably the same level. But remember that only four teams will make the playoffs, and so for sure, like Boston, Capitals, and Pens are locked for the playoff spot. So that's 3 playoff spots already, and then there is like Islanders and Philadelphia. So these are 2 teams which are like light years above Rangers. And out of these 2 teams, one won't make the playoffs. So obviously, like Rangers are not gonna make any playoffs. This is also gonna apply in the post-COVID seasons, because again, the division is going to be really strong, and the only team which will be weaker than Rangers for a foreseeable future is like NJD. And this is also an important reason, because for a lot of players, this team success contributes a lot to the valuation, because this is, for example, why like pretty like scrub level rookies at teams like Capitals and Penguins are selling for relatively good money if they are regularly making the lineup. It's just because these teams are always able to make to the playoffs, and often some noise in the playoffs. And for example, it explains a substantial part of like while Cale Makar had good valuations as a defenseman last season, as a part of Avalanche, which a lot of people expected to compete for the Stanley Cup. Okay, now the 5th reason why I don't expect Lafreniere cars to increase in the valuations is, as I already mentioned briefly, is him being on the 3rd line. And actually, you see like a lot of people arguing that being on the 3rd line is actually better for him because he will be playing against weaker opponents. But what you should understand is that in this strict cap era in the NHL, these bottom lines, 3rd and 4th line, they consist of lesser players, but on all competitive teams, which are essentially all teams in Rangers division except Devils, these 2 bottom lines are playing good defensive hockey. So they're not gonna like run forward hoping to score. Just watch like how like Barry Trotz builds the game of the bottom lines. It's literally like 4 players are standing on their own half, and then like one player can has like a little bit of like freedom. And even if your defenseman on the third line are something like Adam Pelech, which is like probably like among the worst defensemen on the league. Like if there are like four of them standing by their own goal, it's really difficult to score, especially like if your center is like somebody like Brett Howden or so. So no question about it that in case of Lafreniere, it's a big disadvantage. And finally, of course, because finally, it of course can be the case that I am wrong about all these reasons which I listed. Like, of course, nobody knows the future, and things can pan out either way. The one thing which I learned in my 25 years of collecting hockey is that in hockey, the strongest price appreciation always happens after the first cup. In some cases, it even happens after the second cup. So it's much better to invest in a hockey player immediately after that player won the first cup or the second cup, because the risk return trade-off is so much more attractive for you as an investor, because there will be already a steady downside, but the upside is usually going to be rather unlimited due to the cup teams usually being able to contend for several years into the future. And this is the case for essentially all players whose prices like are very high. It is the case for Crosby. Like most of the Crosby price appreciation happened like after the first Pence Cup. And if you would buy Crosby after the first cup, you would lose this initial price appreciation from his rookie year, but still you would get most of the value which you would get today, but with much less risk. And of course, during his rookie season, and given like the division the division Rangers will be playing and how the team is constructed, that it's like a very offensively constructed team. Like, so they're essentially like, they don't have any defense. So they're like best defensemen like Trouba, like D'Angelo, like Fox. Yeah, they create a lot of danger at the opponent's goal, but a big problem is that they also like create tons of danger in their own zone. So what I expect like is that Rangers are gonna have a lot of these high-scoring games, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lafreniere will score like multiple hat tricks during this season against teams, for example, such as for sure like New Jersey Devils and even like Buffalo. That's like completely possible, but what you should keep in mind that you can like try to time these hot games, but after these hot games, given how the team is built, they're gonna be like a long cold strikes as well. And during these strikes, what will happen after you sold your card on eBay? You will get like the scratches on the case and other types of returns. Something which I learned the hard way from selling basketball rookies. So I expect like a lot of this thing will happen like to Lafreniere cards due to the playing style of Rangers. But if that's if you would like to gamble like that, sure, like Lafreniere is a very good a very good option for that. But from the investment perspective, it's not what I would recommend.